News comes first. This is ABC 7 Extra.
Welcome to ABC 7 Extra Sunday. Good evening, everyone. I'm Mark Ross. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and as part of ABC 7's Be Mindful mental health initiative, tonight we're focusing on mental health in children and teens. There are some new resources available and a program for parents to help identify and understand mental health issues in our youth. And later, we'll be joined in the show by ABC 7 Good Morning El Paso anchor Hillary Florin, who is leading our Be Mindful campaign. But first, Emergence Health Network is offering a new program called YCOT, Youth Crisis Outreach Team, which provides immediate support to children and teens experiencing crisis situations. Joining me now are Richard Reyes, the Director of Crisis Services for Emergence Health Network, and Samantha Romero, the Youth Crisis Outreach Team Therapist, also with Emergence Health Network. Welcome to both of you. Samantha, let me start with you. What is meant by crisis services for youth?
So crisis it can mean anything for anybody. So it's important that the services are there for the children, and by that is we're pretty much open 24/7 to allow the people to come in, youth to come in and get a crisis assessment if they're going through any kind of stressful time, and then we're able to kind of follow up and have those services later on and begin therapy with them.
How big is the need for these types of services for youth in our community?
I mean, it's huge. I think that it's a little bit unexpected as to how big the need is, but ultimately there is a lot of children that they're going through a lot of things and a lot of changes in their life. So having support and services to be there during these times is really important.
And Emergence has established these mobile crisis units. Tell us about those.
So MCOT is the acronym, but really what it does is it allows for EHN to go out into the community and do these crisis assessments in order to kind of meet the children where they're at or the families where they're at and be able to provide those services out in the community, at hospitals, homes, things like that.
Richard, why are crisis services in particular important at an early age, and what are the benefits?
I think at an early age we're able to catch things like depression, anxiety, stressors that may be coming up in children's lives, and they could be things that are simple as changes that are going on. If parents are struggling with any issues and children start to struggle with similar issues, they can have issues in school, they can have issues in the community. The reason that we want to catch it early on is so that way they can become more productive adults when they get older, and they can learn how to deal with those stressors that they're facing.
So why is it important that parents know these services are available?
Well, sometimes parents don't know what to do when a child is feeling depressed or anxious. They may rely more on like family. Sometimes family can't always assist with certain issues, so they need those services so that way they can get them the help that they need. For example, if a child is struggling with, say, anxiety, some parents may not know how to deal with that or how to communicate with that to their children. So with our services, they're able to get that help that they need.
Now, heaven forbid there was ever a major crisis event at a school here in El Paso. Would YCOT respond to that, or would it take place afterwards and offer those services to students, teachers, faculty?
No, our team as a whole, crisis as a whole, would respond. We work with the different departments in our agency, and we work with other departments as well, so we would respond to that.
Samantha, what can be done to help with the mental health of children and teens so it doesn't get to a crisis level?
So just that early intervention, being able to come in at those first signs of any kind of mental health symptoms is going to be really important to prevent that crisis from happening. So kind of just being able and aware of the symptoms of depression, anxiety that can go on in children, and being able to come out and speak about them and be willing to get the help.
And speaking of symptoms, Richard, what are some of the signs that your child is struggling with their mental health? It could be as simple as stress or anxiety or just feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah, well, looking at younger children, we see things like fidgeting, we see things like biting their nails. Looking at older adolescents, we can see things like isolating themselves, not wanting to communicate, sleeping more, eating less. Those are the things that we want to look out for. If children are begin self-harming, which is one of the worst signs of depression, then we want to see how we would assist them with that type of behaviors.
All right, I guess the key question here is how can parents have important conversations with their children, and what should parents say, what should they avoid saying?
Those conversations can be had around the dinner table. They can be had in the car, on the way to school, on the way home from school, just sitting down with your children, meeting them in their space. Like, for example, if they're in their room, going in there to check on them. Doing those checks helps get those symptoms out and those feelings out. Sometimes just talking to somebody will help that. I think the services are important because if the parent wants to be able to communicate with their child, we can also help them learn how to do that as well.
But what should they not say to their child? You certainly want not to be a helicopter parent.
Yeah, of course. We don't want to blame the child. We don't want to say things like, oh, I had depression when I was your age, or oh, I did this when I was your age, because that just invalidates their feelings. We want to make sure that they're able to communicate those feelings to their parents and have those parents listen to what they're saying.
Samantha, what's the most important message you want to share with all the parents, coaches, and teachers about children's mental health?
Children and adolescents go through a lot of changes as they're growing up, and I think managing that can be very difficult. So being open to the conversation of their feelings and how things make them feel, having that open conversation. Really, there's no wrong thing to say, just having more of a being able to accept their feelings and be able to try to communicate that.
And of course, there's the additional pressure, which we didn't have many years ago, of social media. Mm-hmm. So you can kind of help work through that as well.
Right. So social media sometimes it's good and bad, right? There's a lot of great information out there, and it could be a lot hurtful in a lot of ways. But ultimately, we want to try to keep it as healthy as possible and maybe as managed as possible depending on their age, just to kind of guard them in some ways to the harmful things that are out there.
Richard, how can the Children's Crisis Services be accessed through Emergence?
Through Emergence, you can call 988. You can also walk into our clinic located at 1601 East Yandell. You can have assessment there. Also, if teachers or school counselors want to refer to us, we have referral process as well.
All right. Richard Reyes, Samantha Romero with Emergence Health Network, thank you so much for coming on ABC 7 Extra Sunday. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Still to come here on ABC 7 Extra Sunday, our Be Mindful Special Edition will continue, and we'll talk about a new program being offered. It's a class being offered in Las Cruces on children's mental health. Stay with us. You're watching ABC 7 Extra Sunday.